Good morning, everyone. I'm Xochitl Leon, Chair of the California Board of Accountancy's Legislative Committee, and I'd like to call our meeting to order. I would like to note that CBA members may view any committee meeting they do not sit on only as an observer and will remain as an attendee until their scheduled committee meeting, at which time they will be moved to the participants panel. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to Ms. Rebecca Reed to take roll call and establish quorum. When Ms. Reed calls your name, unmute your microphone and state your name. Please remember to mute your microphone once you have stated your name.
George Familette,
Present.
Mary Jiang,
Present.
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
Present.
Xochitl Leon,
Present.
Ariel Pei,
Present.
Yin Tu.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Excellent. I would like to thank CBA staff and the solid team for their assistance in facilitating this virtual meeting today. The CBA's mission is to protect consumers by ensuring only qualified licensees practice public accountancy in accordance with established professional standards. This mission is derived from the statutory requirement that protection of the public shall be the highest priority for the California Board of Accountancy in exercising its licensing, regulatory, and disciplinary functions. Whenever the protection of the public is inconsistent with other interests sought to be promoted, the protection of the public shall be paramount. Before we convene, please be advised that the meeting is being conducted consistent with the provisions of Governor Gavin Newsom's Executive Order N-0821. Members of the public interested in participating in the meeting must join the Webex meeting. Information and instructions are posted on our website. All lines are currently on mute. As I facilitate this meeting to allow for proceeding in an orderly manner, lines will remain on mute until I direct staff to open them for public comments. I will announce when we're accepting public comments on the various issues, and staff will open the lines as appropriate. 5 minutes will be allotted to each individual providing feedback. I would also like to remind committee members and others speaking during the meeting to please use the raise hand feature if you wish to make a motion, ask a question, or have any general comment. This approach is necessary to facilitate the meeting and ensure the committee has the opportunity to complete its necessary business. I appreciate everyone's understanding. All right, why don't we kick it off with agenda item 1, public comment. At this time, we will begin our agenda, which is public comments for items not on the May meeting, not on the July meeting agenda. The moderator will provide general instructions and then open it up for public comment. Please go ahead.
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your Webex screen and type, "I would like to make a comment" in the Ask field and click Send to all panelists. Once prompted, click on the Unmute Me button. So I'm going to pause for a moment to allow members of the public time to access this feature. Ms. Leon, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please. Let's proceed. All right, moving on to agenda item number 2. Agenda item number 2 is approval of the minutes of the May 13, 2021 Legislative Committee meeting. If any member would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 13, 2021 Legislative Committee meeting, please do so by using the raise hand feature and wait to be called upon. Mr. George Familette?
Yes, I'd like to make A motion to approve the minutes of the May 13th Legislative Committee meeting.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I can second it. It's Yan too.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Yantu. Excellent. You just did. All right. Any comments from the board before I open it up for public comments? Hearing none, can we get comments from the public?
This is the moderator. I open up the members of the public. The instructions are on the screen. Just if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon at the bottom right corner of your Webex screen, type "I would like to make a comment," and click "Send to all panelists." And when prompted, click the Unmute Me button. Ms. Leon, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Please, thank you so much. Moving on to agenda item number 3, California Board of Accountancy 2021 Legislative Tracking Chart, reference document regarding possible positions for legislation and the legislative calendar for 2021. Information and
Ms.
Planning
Leon?
Officer. Yes,
I apologize for interrupting. We need to have Ms. Reed actually do the roll call vote for the minutes. If we could just back up just a moment. And we had a first by Mr. Famlet and a second by Ms. Tu. We didn't have any public comments, so if you're okay, I'll turn it over to Ms. Reed and see if she can do the roll call vote.
yes, please. Apologies. Roll call for agenda item number 2, approval of the minutes.
George Famlet,
Yes.
Mary Jiang,
Abstain.
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
Yes.
Soshi Leon,
Yes,
Errol Pay,
Yes.
Yin Tu,
Yes.
and the motion carries.
awesome. Thank you. All right, back on track. Agenda item number 3. So as I was saying, Information and Planning Officer, Mr. Patrick Ibarra, would you please go ahead with the presentation on this agenda item?
Yes, of course. Thank you. Thank you, Chair Leon. Item 3 is the CBA 2021 Legislative Tracking Chart, which reflects CBA positions and hearing status of bills on which the CBA has taken a position. This is a written report for your review. We've also included the current legislative calendar to reflect the future bill deadlines and a reference document that includes the various positions the CBA can take on legislation. I will now turn it back to the chair.
Are there any comments or questions from the members? Okay, seeing none, can we please take public comments?
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, the instructions are on the screen. Click that Q&A icon, type "I would like to make a comment" in the Ask field and send it to all panelists. And when prompted, click the Unmute Me button. Ms. Leon, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, let's proceed to agenda number 4. The update, discussion, and possible action on legislation on which the California Board of Accountancy has already taken a position. Mr. Officer Patrick Ibarra, would you take us through the bills under agenda item 4, which have been amended since the last CBA meeting?
Yes, thank you. Only 3 of the bills under this agenda item are continuing through the legislative process. The remaining are not moving forward, and most are now 2-year bills. With the chair's permission, I will only comment briefly on the 3 bills that are moving forward.
Excellent. Please proceed.
Thank you. The first bill, Assembly Bill 107, which is item 4B, relates to temporary licenses for military spouses. This bill has been amended twice since the board discussed this in May. The only amendment that impacts the CBA requires posting of licensing options for military spouses on the home page of the CBA website. The CBA presently has this information accessible via the home page. Staff recommend the CBA maintains its support position. No action is needed. I'll turn it back to the chair for comments or questions from the Legislative Committee and public comments.
Any comments from committee members? Okay, seeing none, if we can open it up for public comments.
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on that Q&A icon, type "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. And when prompted, click on the Unmute Me button. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. Ms. Leon, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Please.
Thank you.
Mr. Ibarra, if you can proceed with agenda item number 4.
Thank you. Assembly Bill 298, which is item 4C, is the CBA-sponsored bill that, amongst other provisions, would allow applicants to sit for the CPA exam prior to completion of educational requirements. The bill is presently on the Senate floor, and once it passes out of the Senate, it will need to return to the Assembly for concurrence of the non-substantive edits before the bill can make its way to the governor's desk. Staff recommend the CBA maintains its sponsor position. No action is needed. I'll turn it back to the chair for comments or questions from the Legislative Committee and public comment.
Thank you for the update, Mr. Ibarra. Any questions from committee members? All right, seeing none, if we can open it up for the public.
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon, type "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. And when prompted, click the Unmute Me button. Ms. Leon, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Please do so. Thank you so much. So I think this concludes agenda item number 4. Moving on
Actually,
to-
I have one more,
Oh,
if
you
that's
have
okay.
one? Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. This last bill is Senate Bill 607, which is item 4I. This bill contains several provisions impacting various boards within the DCA. However, the one relevant to the CBA would waive all fees charged by a board associated with the application and initial license for military-related applicants. Since the last CBA meeting, the bill was amended to make the provisions relating to the fee waiver effective July 1st of 2022. Staff recommend the CBA maintains its support position. No action is needed. I'll turn it back to the chair for comments or questions from the committee and public comment before moving to agenda item 5.
Excellent. Any questions or comments from committee members? All right, seeing none, if we can open it up for public comments.
This is the moderator. The Q&A is now open. The instructions are on the screen. If you would like to participate, click on that Q&A icon, type "I would like to make a comment" in the Ask field, and click Send to all panelists. And when prompted, click on the Unmute Me button. And Ms. Leon, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay, proceeding to agenda item number 5, review and consideration of possible positions on legislation. If I can just turn it over to you, Mr. Ibarra, to walk us through Assembly Bill 105.
Thank you so much. Yes, let's begin with AB 105, which provides that beginning January 1st of 2022, all state boards and commissions must have at least one volunteer member from an underrepresented community, which will only apply as vacancies occur. The bill requires the State Personnel Board, or SPB, to prescribe and the Department of Human Resources, or CalHR, to oversee compliance with a merit-based civil service system to govern appointments, classifications, examinations, probationary periods, and disciplinary actions. The bill authorizes CalHR to 1, conduct audits and investigations of personnel practices, and 2, investigate complaints filed by employees in a state department's Equal Employment Opportunity Program. The bill requires the SPB to establish a process that includes diversity and best practices in each aspect of the design, announcement, and administration of examinations for the establishment of employment lists. The SPB, in conjunction with CalHR, must create standards for statements of qualifications used in determining the fitness and qualifications of employees for each class of position, and would require oral examinations to be electronically recorded and all materials to be retained. The bill authorizes CalHR to conduct audits and investigation of personnel practices and also investigate complaints filed by employees in a state department's Equal Employment Opportunity Program and Personnel Office, including other civil service employees, applicants, and members of the public alleging violations of civil service laws. AB 105 also requires CalHR to develop model upward mobility goals by July 1st of 2022. These model upward mobility goals may include race, gender, and LGBTQ as factors to the extent permissible under state and federal equal protection laws. The text of AB 105 mentions boards and commissions, and new subsection E references appointments to the board or commission itself. However, it would not apply to committees established by boards and commissions. The bill was recently amended on July 14th to require that an appointing authority that fails to meet the upward mobility goals must submit a report explaining the failure to achieve the goals and what requirements are necessary to facilitate achieving them within the next 2 years. The appointing authority must then submit the report to CalHR, the Director of the Department of Finance, and the legislative analyst. CBA staff have no recommended position on this measure. I will turn it back to the chair for discussion.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up to the rest of the committee members, but just from my perspective, in theory, this makes sense. What brought questions to me were people with disabilities in the discussion, in the development and creation of this bill, because I didn't see them mentioned. And then 2, I didn't see anyone supporting it, which also made me question why. So just I'd love to see if you have any feedback on why people with disabilities are not included, if you've heard anything. And otherwise, I'll just open it up to the rest of the committee members.
I don't have an answer for you. It's certainly something that we can reach out to the author's office and see if we can obtain additional information on that specific question. So we can do that going forward for reporting at the next board meeting, if the committee would like.
Thank you. Comments? I see a hand raised. Ms. Tu?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'm having read the bill is kind of a little bit vague and complicated in terms of how you would implement that and all the stuff like that. So it would be very helpful to wait and get more information, and maybe we want to just stay neutral at this point or something.
Thank you. Ms. Young, I know you had your raised.
Yes, yes. I think the idea of having, representation from minority on all boards is, great and laudable, but I'm wondering how you'll be able to, like Ms. Tu said, how you implement it, because unless they self-identify on the application form, how would you know? You can't, you can't tell just by physical feature. So unless somewhere that means in the application, they're going to have to identify themselves, I guess, the ethnic, and some places do have it, but I don't see that usually on, you know, on applications to the board or committee. So that's something that I was curious how they would address that.
Ms. Pierce, I see your hand up. You might have an answer.
I just wanted to respond to a couple things. One is this would be for appointments to boards and commissions. So this wouldn't be something that the CBA would specifically be implementing. So it would be done at the governor's office level, Senate and Assembly who make appointments to the various boards and commissions throughout the state. But I do agree there are some complex implementation questions, and I don't have answers to all of those. The second thing I wanted to just follow up on from Chair Leon was we didn't include it in our analysis, or it may have happened after our analysis was complete, but as of the last analysis that was completed by the Senate Judiciary Committee, there is support from 4 organizations, the African American Community Empowerment Council, the California State NAACP, the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, and also the National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants from Los Angeles. And I guess the last comment I wanted to just make is some of this bill, the context of this bill is in relation to some comments the staff or the board members have received in prior meetings. So we pulled this bill forward. It kind of has some similarity to the next bill on our agenda, SB 702. But just because we have brought it here doesn't necessarily mean that the committee or the board needs to take a position on it. It can just be for information only. It can be on our monitor list so that we can keep the board appraised as it moves forward. So just wanted to put that out there for consideration.
Excellent. Do we, any more comments from committee members or a motion? Yes, Ms. Carrie Ann Farrell-Hines.
I'd like to move that we take a watch position on this bill while staff responds to the questions that have been raised while staff responds to the questions that have been raised.
Excellent. Do we have a second? I think Ms. Yen too.
Yes, I would like to second that motion.
Excellent. Any other comments from the committee members before we open it up for the public? Okay. If we can proceed with public comments.
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, the instructions are on the screen. Click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your Webex screen. Type, I would like to make a comment, and click Send to all panelists. And when prompted, click on the Unmute Me button. So I'm going to pause for a moment to allow members of the public time to access this feature. Ms. Leon, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please
Thank
do
you.
so. If we can do a roll call on the motion for Assembly Bill 105 to watch the bill.
George Famlet,
Yes.
Mary Jiang,
Yes.
Carrie Ann Farrell-Hines,
Yes.
Soshi Leon,
Yes.
Ariel Pei,
Yes.
Yen Tu.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Awesome. Great. Moving on to item 5B, Senate Bill 702. If you can proceed, Mr. Ibarra.
Thank you. SB 702 requires that the governor's office convene a working group to discuss and make recommendations on the most effective way to ensure the state's leadership on boards and commissions reflects diversity in age, ethnicity, gender identity, disability status, region, veteran status, and sexual orientation, among other things. The bill specifies the composition of the working group, identifies the issues its recommendations shall address, and details information to be reported annually to the legislature and made available to the public on the governor's website. The working group shall meet beginning April 1st of 2022 and meet 5 additional times before May 1st, 2023, then complete its work before being sunset on January 1st of 2024. CBA staff have no recommended position on this measure. I'll now turn it back to the chair for discussion.
Excellent. So in full disclosure, I am a Hope alumni. I did their 2014 Leadership Institute, and it's the reason I'm here leading this legislative committee. So I'm going to open it up for comments from the committee members. Ms. Pierce? I think I see your hand raised. All right, Ms. Carrie-Ann Farrell-Hines.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Similar to you, I am a graduate of Cal Women Leads appointment program, and I'm also involved with another organization that helps to prepare women for appointments to boards and commissions. So I think this is helpful at the state level, and I appreciate that the legislature is pushing the governor's office to be proactive in addressing this. I would just raise that the same question that you asked about the last bill, why it does not include, it does include disability status. This one is a bit more extensive than the last one. So I would make a motion that we take a similar watch position until more information until we have more information about the bill.
Excellent. Ms. Yantu?
I would second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any additional comments? I'm completely in support of this. I think, as you're hearing from some of us that are in this committee and in other boards, this matters. All right, Ms. Pierce.
Just a quick follow-up question to Ms. Farrell-Hines or to any of the committee members. I know on the last bill we wanted to get some additional clarification regarding, why not including those who have disabilities. Was there some specific information that you wanted us to gather on this particular bill? I apologize, I may have missed it.
No, this bill, sorry for jumping in without raising my hand. This bill is a bit more extensive than in terms of what it's identifying that it's looking into, and the fact that it's setting up a working group that would then investigate and make recommendations. So it's slightly different, but just on a related topic. So I think at this point, actually, let me rephrase that. Why don't we reach out to the author's office and ask whether they are actively seeking, statements from boards and commissions in support? We have some time since I imagine this is a 2-year bill. Is that right, staff?
This bill is actually moving forward. It's on the Assembly Committee on Judiciary, so it's possible it could turn into a 2-year bill if it doesn't pass out of a committee, but it is moving forward this year.
Oh, okay. All right. So then it does. So then we would need to take action on it today. Right. Yeah, I think we'd have to take action on it today. Otherwise, it'll expire before our next meeting. Is that right, Mr. Ibarra?
I'm going to jump in. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
You could take a position today, or if there's specific information you wanted staff to get, and then we could hold a special meeting to discuss this particular bill. The notice requirements are a little bit different, so that is also an option. Right now, the legislature is on recess until about mid-August, and then they have until the end of August to get the bill out of the fiscal policy and fiscal committees, and it has to go to the governor by September 10th. So if it continues through, just thinking ahead here, if it continues through the process, it could be on the governor's desk by the time we meet in September. So that's kind of the time frame we're looking at this point.
Ms. Hines, would you reconsider your motion, given the timing?
Yes, I will. I'd like to withdraw my motion and make a new motion.
Okay.
And I'd like to move that we adopt the support position.
Do we have a second? Ms. Yan, too?
Yes, thank you. I would like to second this motion, but I do have a couple of questions if I
Please
can
proceed.
ask. First of all, do we know if there are any data? Because I feel like this is a working group. It sounds like it's going to be forming a working group. I could not recall from reading, because I read it too long ago, if there were some matrix that shows what is the current situation already, and if there was a effort to move the numbers to a higher level of diversities in the board and commissions. Is this group going to have some kind of baseline already? Do
Mr.
we know?
Ibarra, would you know if they've done already a baseline analysis?
If there is information for the working group to kind of start on, it hasn't been shared with us. So I would suspect that when the working group is formed, that may be some of the base information that they gather and work from that as they continue through their working group.
Excellent.
Yeah, in that case, I would support the motion and second the motion if we can if the maker of the motion allow me to add that it will be nice to ask that question from the legislator's office.
Great. Any other comments? Ms. Carrie, I see your hand still up.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out the attachment to the bill. I think it answers that question. I think part of the purpose of the working group is to collect the demographic data on the boards and commissions, and then to make recommendations to the governor's office about how to address, to ensure that the boards and commissions reflect the diversity of the state. I think that is actually their charge, to collect that data to make sure that they understand what the circumstances are now, and then to make recommendations to address any shortcomings, in the future. So it sounds like that's part of their work.
It will be an output.
That's
Yep.
excellent. Thanks, Ms. Hines.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. All right. Seeing no more discussion, if we can open it up for public comments before we do a vote.
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A. Members of the public, the instructions are on the screen if you would like to participate. Click on that Q&A icon at the bottom right corner of your Webex screen. Type, "I would like to make a comment," and click Send to all panelists. When prompted, click the Unmute Me button. So I'll pause for a moment to allow time for members of the public to access the Q&A feature. Ms. Leon, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please proceed. All
Thank
right, so can we do a roll call for the motion at hand, which is to support Senate Bill 702?
George Familet,
Abstain.
Mary Jiang,
Yes,
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
Yes.
Soshi Leon,
Yes.
Ariel Pay,
Yes.
Yin Tu.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Great. If we can please proceed to item 5C, Senate Bill 731.
Thank you. SB 731 amends existing criminal record relief provisions by making an arrest for a felony where there is no indication that the criminal proceeding has been initiated at least 3 years after the arrest eligible for relief. It also amends existing law to provide that if the arrest was for a felony offense punishable by imprisonment in the state prison with a sentence of 8 or more years, the record of that arrest shall be eligible for relief when no criminal proceedings have happened 6 years after the arrest. The bill makes Penal Code Section 1203.41 apply to all felonies, not just jail felonies. SB 731 also further limits the information that the Department of Justice can share with agencies. Recent amendments state that relief granted to felony convictions under this bill do not release the defendant from the terms and conditions of any unexpired criminal protective orders that have been issued by the court. Staff recommend the CBA take a watch position and direct staff to work with the author's office regarding the impact this proposal will have on the CBA's ability to continue to receive information on individuals if the felony or the felony financial crime is directly and adversely related to the functions, qualifications, or duties of a CPA at any time in the past. That concludes my presentation on this item. I and Chief of Enforcement Dominic Franzella are happy to answer any questions regarding this bill. I'll turn it back to the chair for discussion and a possible motion.
Thank you so much. The bill in itself, the essence of it made sense, but when it came to the financial crime piece of it and our ability to do the work, that's where it had me wondering, how that's going to make our job easier or harder. So just welcome the team. I see one hand to provide their feedback. Ms. Carrie Ann Farrell Hines.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I would make a motion to take the staff's watch position. However, in addition to directing staff to work with the author's office about the impact of the proposal, I would also ask staff to consider potential regulations that the CBA might need to adopt, rules or regulations the CBA might need to adopt if this bill were to pass in its current form, or if it were to pass even in a form that were that did not address our concerns. Because what I would not want us to do is have the bill pass and then we have to go through the process of figuring out what the what kind of regulations or remedies we might need as a board. That's not a motion. That's me just discussing what my issues and concerns are before making a motion. I see Dominique's hands are up, so he'll probably be able to respond.
Yes, Mr. Franzella.
Yes. So if provided I understood correctly, there really would be no regulatory authority to overcome any elements of the bill. So the legislation itself would negate the board's ability to adopt CBA-specific regulations that would in some way allow us to continue to obtain that information. So that really wouldn't be a feasible option for the board.
If I may, what I would expect is that that you all would come back and let us know where the conflicts are and whether we might need to proceed with seeking a legislative remedy, to address the issues that arise from the law negating the board's authority.
And I see Ms. Pierce's hands. Her hand just went up.
Yeah, I think what staff can do, and thank you, Mr. Franzella, for, responding to that question. I think what staff can do with the current motion on the table with Watch is to work with the author's office. Perhaps there's some room for flexibility or amendments so that those particular sections that we're concerned with could be removed. And if that was addressed, then it may not require any other regulations, needed to be. So if that was kind of responsive to Ms. Farrell-Hines' ask, then we can maybe try to head it off at the pass and see what we could do there.
Okay. And I know Ms. Yantu has patiently been waiting.
Don't worry, I was just gonna second the motion so we can continue our discussion.
But did we have a motion? Because I thought we did, and I think it was comment. So Ms. Carrie-Ann, was that a motion at the beginning or was it all comment?
It was just comment. I didn't make the motion yet because I wanted to have the discussion before making a motion so that I knew what kind of motion to make regarding this bill. I could make one now. I could move that we adopt the staff's position on taking a watch position.
I think.
And I will second it.
Thank you. Any other comments, or I'm going to open it up for public comments. Mr. Franzella, I see your hand still up. And it's down. All right. Can we move to public comments?
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A. Members of the public, the instructions are on the screen if you would like to participate. Click on that Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your Webex screen. Type, I would like to make a comment, and send it to all panelists. And when prompted, click the Unmute Me button. Ms. Leo, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes. If we can proceed to roll call on the motion to watch for staff's recommendation, Senate Bill 731.
George Familet,
Yes.
Mary Jiang,
Yes.
Carrie-Ann Farrell-Hines,
Yes.
Soshi Leon,
Yes.
Ariel Pei,
Yes.
Yin Tu.
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right. I think that concludes agenda item 5. Moving on to agenda item 6. Review and possible consideration of decisions on legislation the California Board of Accountancy is monitoring. Would you please present this agenda item?
Yes, thank you. Staff continue to monitor the bills listed here, and if any are amended in a way that directly impact the CBA, an analysis will be prepared and presented at a future meeting. Chair Leon, no action is required on this item, but we are happy to answer any questions members may have regarding these bills.
Thank you so much. Any comments, questions from the committee? Seeing none, if we can open it up for public comments.
The moderator, I'm opening up the Q&A. Members of the public, the instructions are on the screen. Just click on the Q&A icon, type I would like to make a comment, and click send to all panelists. And when prompted, click the Unmute Me button. So I'll pause for a moment to allow members of the public time to access the feature. Ms. Leon, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes. All
Thank
right.
you.
Moving on to the last agenda item, number 7. Do any members wish to request that any items be placed on the next legislative committee meeting agenda? Okay, no comments from our committee members. Can we open it up to the public?
Yes. Yes, this is the moderator. I open up the Q&A feature. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, instructions are on the screen. Just click that Q&A icon, type, I would like to make a comment, and click send to all panelists. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes. So
Thank you.
seeing that there are no public comments, and this was our last agenda item, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.